I picked up a free decorative picture and challenged myself to turn it into a high-end inspired painting that I was happy to hang in my home, all in one day. And here's how I did it. It all started when I was walking through my neighborhood and I saw a couple of paintings sitting by the curb, which is something that's common in my neighborhood when people are just giving stuff away for free. And I had actually seen it previously on a walk and was like, no, don't get it. You don't need another thing. Resist. It's fine. And when I saw it the second time, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go get this and I'm going to do it today. And I also had some of these that I had bought from a thrift store that I was like, oh, I'm going to transform these into something beautiful. And I think that's why I hesitated to pick this one up because I still hadn't painted those. But this one actually inspired me to paint those. So that's how this is becoming a series. But this one I did all in one day. And I have not used acrylic paints in so long, but my mom gave me some more for Christmas, and I figured this was the perfect opportunity to use them. I have seen a lot of these beautiful neutral paintings in homes and different like high-end videos or like in videos when people are redecorating their homes. So I used this as a chance to have this in my own home. And I get paranoid about like copywriting or stealing someone else's work and all this because, it's just drilled into us at this point. But anytime I use someone else's photo as a reference, it pretty much doesn't even look the same, but I still like how it turns out. So for this one, it's like a farm setting, it looks like, but then mine turned out to look like a beachside cliff, which I am perfectly okay with. And of course, the size of mine was much smaller than the example that was $359. And so it's not like a direct comparison, but it's more of a like an inspiration, inspired by, more like not an exact dupe, but kind of. So I went to the Pottery Barn website and just scrolled through until I found one that I thought I liked, but also could do, like I said, in a day. So this one got my attention. And also, it was similar, like the frame had a very thin outline of wood, which my frame also had from the free painting that I found. And it isn't that I hated this little decorative piece, but I really didn't care for having like a saying on mine. But I was like, okay, I will cover this up and it'll be nice. So sorry if you love the painting that I cover up. That is one thing I'm like, oh no, people might hate that I do that. I actually felt kind of out of my element here because I've been painting almost exclusively with watercolor since 2022. And so it was weird. Like my brain couldn't figure out how to work without a lot of water, and my paint was drying up, but it was actually a lot of fun to be able to layer more and like add lighter colors and highlights and everything. But anyway, I used brown for sure. I didn't need as much of the pink as I thought. Probably didn't really need any of it, but I used some yellow and blue to make a green. I think I even mixed it with black to make it a bit darker. And I was nervous here that it wasn't actually going to cover up the words. And I didn't realize until after I painted it that the letters are a little bit raised, almost like they're taped on. And so I could see that for a little while during the painting. And the paint did get through the washi tape a little bit on the parts of the wood frame that touched the painting. So I'm not really sure how I would have prevented that, but I just wiped it away after I took that off and it seemed fine. But I did go in with several coats of this white, and it took more than I realized. And I forget how much paint you use with acrylic. And I try to just do a small amount because it does dry up and then goes to waste, unlike watercolor where I can just bring it back to life easily. I did think about trying to put it in the fridge and keep it for the next time, but actually I went ahead this day and painted my second for this series because I had the paint out and the colors already mixed and everything. So that worked out. But after two, I was like, okay, I'm done. So a lot of like grays as well. And I've been wanting to practice clouds, and I was so nervous with these. I was like, these are not looking right. What is happening? And so I just kept going back in and adding more, and eventually it got to where I was happy with it. Thank goodness. But I also, since I'm talking about things I found on the side of the road, this tabletop was something just in my neighborhood, and my husband is a woodworker. So, I mean, like hobbyist. So I figured he would be able to do something with it. So I asked him before I went and carted it to our house. But I have used it so much to sit out there and paint. And I really wasn't expecting that. I didn't realize how much I was missing having a table in the backyard, because we have one that my husband made, but it's with his parents right now because we didn't think we would have space for it here. But this has been really fun to just sit in my backyard and paint in the sunshine and the breeze. This is the part, wow, it just looks so terrible uh, at first. So give it some time, make some adjustments. I mean, it looks like finger paint. I think I had so much water in it, but I wanted it to be a lighter color because it's clouds. I didn't want brown clouds, but I did use the brown and maybe a little yellow, and I was trying to make it more of a cream color, like a golden clouds. So it was terrifying, and you can see it in the video. But oh, and I didn't realize that I put the paper towel in my mouth. That's really funny. And the wind was blowing my easel over, so I just used my hand and but having the reference there was still helpful to get some shadows and get some highlights. This is the other thing. It was like peeling the paint. So I don't do these to sell them. So I'm not worried about like putting down the best coat so these will never chip and whatever. So I did have to go in like pretty thick paint to cover up these marks that were peeling up while I was trying to paint. But I think it's because I was also like using water because the paint was getting dry, but also because I'm used to watercolor. And then it was like putting too much water and was dripping down. I mean, it is so funny. But I did learn acrylics in high school, and I just fell in love with it and have done a bunch of paint nights since then, and just painting on my own as well. So it was just, I felt like I was wasting so much paint, so I kind of stopped. But I am glad to still have it as an option because I could not paint over this piece with watercolor because you have to have a more specific type of paper, whereas acrylic, I'll paint all sorts of things. And this is where I was trying to make it a little more like the original painting and lighten it up in between some spots. Oh, but I am really happy with it. Yeah, it's very peaceful and soothing, relaxing painting because of the neutral colors to me. So the other painting underneath didn't really give me that feeling. It was more of like a cheerful happy, but oh, that's me cleaning off those edges. Oh, it makes me happy. Oh, so fun. Anyway, I hope this gets you to maybe try something similar, and I feel like I rescued it from the trash. And now I get to enjoy it all the time. Today's artist may not seem like an artist in the traditional sense, but her home decor is really a work of art. And she shares how she changes one little thing that makes it look really high end, even though she mostly gets stuff from the thrift store. And it's really amazing. So I will link to her YouTube account in the description. But she really inspired this video because she often does dupes of Pottery Barn stuff or other high-end places, and I just love it. I watch her videos so much. I get so excited every time I see a new one. I hope you're as excited for this series as I am. I will be creating a separate playlist for these, especially since this is using acrylics where I normally use watercolor. So hopefully that makes it easier